a couple of study tips that I wanted to share that I found really helpful in my college career. So first of all is the Pomodoro Method. This is kind of just a way to like study, I guess. It's basically the idea that you work for 25 minutes and then you take like a 5 minute break and then you cycle through that like 3 or 4 times and then you give yourself a longer break. I found this really helpful because it kind of like makes like my working less intimidating, I guess, or like making my study sessions feel less long. And like the break at the end is always really nice. There's a bunch of apps that you can use that do Pomodoro already. So I like using Bear Focus Timer, but there's a bunch of other apps and feel free to explore. So spaced repetition and active recall. So basically, I forget which psychologist it was, but some psychologists that came up with the idea of the forgetting curve. So basically, you learn information, but then as time goes on, you're just gonna gradually forget more and more of that information. So the idea of spaced repetition is that at gradually longer intervals, you're going to review that information so that sticks in your long-term memory more. And that's basically what this graph on the right is showing. And then I kind of coupling this with active recall. So basically active recall is a form of studying in which you're like actively recalling the information rather than just like passively reading over your notes. So the way I like to combine these two is by doing flashcards at different spaced repetition intervals. And the app I like using for that is called Anki, which is Anki. It's free for PC, but I don't think it's free as an app. But I really like using it because it combines both of these two techniques. Start reviewing early. So I know finals week, it may seem like, okay, like I just get like the week before finals to study for everything. But try and review early. This kind of goes into spaced repetition as well. If you are doing your spaced repetition after every single lecture, every single class, then you won't have as much material to study for the final because you've already encoded a lot of information into your long-term memory. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't study for finals. Like you definitely should, because we're not like, unless you have like a photographic memory, you're not going to memorize everything. But yeah, start reviewing early. So maybe start studying like around Thanksgiving time, or even studying like a couple weeks before that. And then remember to supplement your class materials. So obviously the way stuff is presented in class might not be the way that clicks for you. So make sure you're going out and really finding materials that you understand. So this kind of goes into my last point, is like, what's your study style? So for me personally, I am a very big visual learner. I can't really like read a bunch of stuff and understand it, or like listen to stuff and understand it. I have to like go in and like draw it myself, and then I'll understand those concepts. So in that way, I'll find materials like Khan Academy videos or other YouTube videos that have a lot of visuals to really help me like learn the material, because just like listening to a lecture isn't really going to help. So if you haven't already, make sure you like kind of figure out what your study style is. I only put like visual and auditory here, but say you like really absorb a lot of material just by listening to the teacher talk, that's great. But remember, if you are struggling, remember you have a bunch of resources on the internet to supplement your learning with.